how is Tennessee doing with running back Savion Hiter, a guy you told us about last week, number one running back in the country, who came into Knoxville for a visit this past weekend?
Certainly feels like Tennessee has done as well as they possibly could do to this point without getting a commitment. They've done a tremendous job building a relationship with him, not only Savion, but Savion's family. He left last weekend, and I felt like, even though he doesn't do interviews and talking to some people, you feel like Tennessee's got a real shot there. It's been Tennessee and Michigan for the last couple of months, and it continues to be that. But, Tennessee is, I think, in a pretty good spot there as we head into the month of July. We'll see, though, if they can keep the momentum they got from last weekend all the way until he decides. And when does he decide? That's the biggest question.
Give us some pivots you think Tennessee is going to do with, them losing out on the defensive lineman to Texas A&M. It looks like Tennessee may lose an in-state player to Florida. What do you think about some of the pivots, some of the audibles that you think Tennessee will make in recruiting?
Well, with Hezekiah, when they lost out on Tristan Gibbons to Texas A&M, Tennessee's still recruiting Joel Wyatt. What does he want to play? Does he want to play Leo? I don't think he probably does, but that's kind of what Tennessee's recruiting him as. Then you have Hezekiah Harris, the Auburn commit. He keeps coming up here. He continues to talk with Coach Chop. Those two have a really nice relationship. Tennessee tries to work hard on flipping him. Not sure he does anything anytime soon. So I'm not sure what they'll do with the Leo spot. They'll continue to recruit Gibbons. I mean, kids from right around the Atlanta area, a little bit west of Atlanta. It's not exactly easy to get to College Station from Atlanta like it is getting into Knoxville. So you got to lean on the proximity for mom and the family to come to games. All that stuff I think matters. And so, they have different players they could potentially pivot to in certain spots. But for the most part, they'll continue to recruit the players even if they end up losing them to elsewhere.
Austin Price, Volquest.com. What is the latest, your thoughts with Joel Wyatt? You mentioned him, top athlete, one of the top athletes in the state, and then Craig Tutt, a defensive back from Murfreesboro. Those couple of guys who were undecided in the state of Tennessee.
I thought Tennessee was trailing for Craig Tutt going into last weekend. I think Tennessee has made up some ground. I'm not sure they're the leader. I don't know if they're really the follower, though, either. I think it's really a coin flip type recruitment with Craig Tutt. Ole Miss, Tennessee, Auburn tried to be in play there, but it feels like to me it's still the Rebels and the Vols for him, and what is shaping up to be a July decision. And I don't believe that anything's set in stone for him. I think that he will take the next few weeks, talk to his family, work through things. This thing could flip a number of different ways over the next couple of weeks. And that's the way modern recruiting is. I mean, look at a guy like Legend Bay. Tennessee had the momentum coming out of their visit. A&M seems to feel like they have the momentum coming out of their visit. Kid's a Texas kid, so, I mean, certainly would surprise nobody if he ends up at Texas A&M, but I don't think that it's locked in. I think there's a lot of conversation still happening as things kind of jockey for position in what is a Saturday decision for Legend Bay.
With Joel Wyatt, you mentioned Tennessee wants him to play Leo, a position where Tennessee just put a first-round player in the NFL. Any idea of what position he wants to play?
Not Leo. I mean, safety probably makes the most sense, Jason. The kid is an athlete. He's long. He's every bit of 6'5", about 200 pounds. Caleb Herring was around the same weight when he got to Tennessee. I think Caleb was like 6'5" and 204 when he got to Knoxville. And so for Joel Wyatt, it's about finding a peace of mind for where he wants to play. Obviously, if the kid doesn't want to play a certain position, fighting them on that is really hard. And so he camped at the Rivals 5-Star Challenge yesterday. He camped at receiver and in the secondary. So obviously that's kind of where his mind's at, I think, about where things go. But other schools are recruiting him to play Leo. He's got a big frame. They obviously think he can throw in some weight. The question is Tennessee or are other schools hard and fast on the whole Leo thing? Are they willing to let him at least take a shot at playing another position and prove he can or can't do it before deciding where he ends up.
Austin Price, Volquest.com. So we have gotten past the period of all these visits in May and June of the last, 5 or 6 weeks. Who are some guys to pay attention to? You mentioned Legend Bay's announcement coming up. Who else is on the radar to pay attention to for announcements or potential announcements maybe the next week or two?
Well, Kedrick Golston is one that Tennessee continues to feel good about. The Georgia legacy, visited 2 weeks ago. I think he could do something in the next, week to 10 days. Same thing with Zayden Anderson at Greenville. You look at Javonte Smith. He's moved his back to July 8th, but it felt like Tennessee had some momentum there in his recruitment. And so the Mississippi kids, July 1st, are two that I'm paying attention to. Darion Albert and then T.J. White, the four-star linebacker, four-star defensive lineman. Those two I'm paying attention to. I think Tennessee's got a ton of momentum there. And then J.T. Theodore, or Jamian Theodore, out of Chattanooga Baylor. He's a Canadian kid at Baylor. He will commit sometime early July as well. And then there are the two kids down at Kell High School in Georgia, Braden Rouse, Joel Combe. I felt like Tennessee left last weekend with both really feeling good about Tennessee. Combe will commit the 9th of July. And then Rouse doesn't have a firm date yet, but it'll be sometime in that same time frame.
There were some big-time weekends in the month of June. Anything planned for July, or is that a time where it calms down?
Nope, it's totally dead. This is new this year, first year that there is no July contact period. It is dead from this past Sunday all the way through September 1. So coaches have a couple of months where they'll recruit by phone or FaceTime or whatever else, but they won't have to worry about hosting any prospects on campus. There won't be any kind of, thrown together barbecue in late July like we've seen the last several years, where coaches really just try to get kids here to babysit them to make sure they're not going somewhere else that weekend. And so, no, it's a totally dead between now and September 1st.
Will the next few weeks, Austin, with some of those announcements you mentioned or just went through, will that tell you a lot about how these visit weekends went for Tennessee, or will you need more time? And if I ask you that question in 2 weeks, will you have a better idea of how successful these visits were with these announcements coming up?
Yeah, I mean, what happens along the offensive line? J.B. Shabazz is July 26th. Brody Smith sounds like he may take some visits once things open back up in September and go from there. Kamari Blair, taking like a 10-day trip with his family, deciding sometime in early to mid-July after he gets back from that. Felt good about where Tennessee was at leaving the visit last weekend. So what happens with these offensive linemen? Brandon Anderson's another. You can go right down the list. But, yeah, I think the next few weeks will really tell the tale of how the visit weekends went during the month of June.
Hey, also, we're talking about guys that have decisions coming up, guys who have already decided at Elite 11 last week. Anything that stood out of what you heard about Faison Brandon? You mentioned the Rivals 5-star challenge. I saw Tyreek King ranked pretty high among performers. Thoughts on those guys or anybody else that have been out there putting in work in camps or different events?
Tennessee's had a nice collection of guys already committed. Obviously, they want to add to that, but it is good, I think, if you're Josh Heupel, to see Tyreek King doing what he does, balling out over there at Catholic, and balling out at the 5-star challenge up in Indianapolis. Faison Brandon performing well at the Elite 11. Any of those players, you want to see them do well against other top-end competition from across the country, because that validates you getting them into class.
Hey, Austin, before you go, I think here in a few days, it's already begun, but the On3 Rivals integration with the Merger Rivals historical name in the world of recruiting, does this mean like Jason Swain highlights will be remastered into Blu-ray 4K type highlights? What are we looking at with the integration that's about to take place?
AI generation, baby.
Yeah, they're currently taking over that old beta tape that Jason's highlights run from 2002 and converting it to Blu-ray or whatever, just basically digital.
Yeah, by the way, me bringing up Blu-ray makes me sound old. Blu-ray, who's using that anymore?
What is that?
Anything else that we missed, Austin, or what's coming up for people to check out at volquest.com right now?
No, just continued recruiting coverage. Eric Kane will have you covered on any of the baseball portal stuff that Tony Vitello's got going on, and just anything and everything Vols.
Volquest.com. That's where you can see, hear, and read the work from Austin, from his colleagues there as well. Austin, we appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds great, guys. Appreciate you.